Wonderful. Thanks so much. It's been a great day so far. I appreciate everybody sticking with us and being with us toward the end of our day. I think we've got some really interesting information to share with you as we complete the day. And so we're going to start with Brien Bell from Google Fiber. And I got to tell you, working with cities, one of the first questions they ask me is, how can I get Google to come to my city? And really, I'm really pleased to have Brien here to answer that question instead of me. But I wanted to say that Brien joined the fiber business from Google's legal department, where he represented Google Fiber and other Google teams working on projects related to Internet access, Wi-Fi, and various new technologies. I'm really pleased to have Brien Bell here. He represents the Northwest region, so we'll be able to hear a little bit from him about the work he's doing here. Thanks, Brien.
Hey, good afternoon, everyone, and thanks so much for having me here today. It's been a great day of discussion and presentation, so again, thank you for the invitation to speak. As Deb said, my name is Brien Bell, and I lead expansion efforts for Google Fiber in the Western United States. So that basically means that my team's responsible for clearing all the obstacles and putting the pieces in place so that our construction team and my colleagues can actually deploy the network and bring service to residents. So we work really closely with cities and other stakeholders, both public and private, to align on processes, negotiate and execute business agreements and contracts, and then we, of course, have to navigate through local ordinances and regulatory issues. So many of you are probably familiar with Google Fiber. We're lucky enough to get a fair amount of attention, but I'll give you a quick update on what we've been up to lately. So we started building our first network in 2011 in Kansas City, and since that time, we are offering service, actively constructing, or exploring offering service in a total of 22 metro areas. And a lot of those metro areas have suburban communities, so it's quite a long list of separate municipalities that we're working with today. And we're excited that our work with these 22 metro areas has helped catalyze faster internet speeds and lower prices in those markets. And I think we've done a small part to add to the national conversation around the importance of broadband and gigabit speeds. Here in the Northwest, we are actively exploring the possibility of bringing fiber to the city of Portland, Oregon, as well as 5 neighboring communities. Those municipalities have been great partners, and we're really excited by the progress there. I think we can all agree, and I know our friends in the Portland area would agree, that deploying new fiber networks is really challenging work. There are a ton of issues to address and to navigate through. So we're grateful that so many cities, counties, other stakeholders, including all of you here today, are thinking hard and working to figure out ways to increase the availability of abundant, high-speed broadband. At Google Fiber, we've certainly learned a lot since we started building in Kansas City 5 years ago. And I'd like to reflect on some of those key learnings and best practices we've seen along the way. And I'll focus on 4 general themes. First, we've learned how important it is for city partners to have a clear broadband vision and to make broadband a public priority in your community. And we've heard a lot of good stuff about that today. Because providers like Google Fiber want to know that if we invest in a network in your city, that the residents and businesses in those communities will use it and understand the importance of it to their lives and to their businesses. So as leaders and policymakers, you can advocate for better technology for students, to support small business and entrepreneur and the availability of technology to those individuals. And you can help develop digital literacy programs to get some of the digitally divided communities online. So by advocating for faster, more ubiquitous internet access, you not only help your city become more globally competitive, but you also show potential fiber providers like Google Fiber that their investment in your community will be met with strong leadership at City Hall and eager customers throughout the community. The second thing I'd like to touch on is that fiber builds require a ton of coordination and close collaboration with many different departments and many different stakeholders at cities and other municipalities. We use our Google Fiber checklist as a way to help us understand the local policy framework and the different moving pieces involved in a network build-out in any particular community. You can help that process for Google Fiber and for others by identifying a clearly defined cross-functional fiber working group that's spearheaded by a clearly defined single point of contact who's empowered to make decisions and interact with potential investors. In Portland, for example, our primary point of contact, Mary Beth Henry, is a tireless broadband advocate who can efficiently connect us with relevant folks in different departments throughout City Hall, and she's available to problem solve whenever new issues come up. She meets regularly with her cross-functional colleagues to ensure that they're aligned and that there's a consistent message throughout City Hall. And that's critically important for moving a large-scale, complex project forward. So thanks, Mary Beth, for all your work. Third, we've learned how important it is for cities and other regulatory agencies to support initiatives and policies designed to facilitate faster, less disruptive, and more predictable local construction. Let me give you a couple examples. One key area relates to pole attachments. I hope you had your coffee because we're diving into pole attachments. In most places today, when a new provider like Google Fiber seeks to attach to a pole, we have to work with the other attachers on that pole to clear space so that our attachment can go on that pole in a way that's safe and consistent with local regulations. So it can take multiple different construction crews visiting that pole to move one equipment attachment up, maybe one down, to create that space. And it can take several months for this process to play out. Utility poles, of course, are typically located along streets, so that means traffic headaches every time a construction crew is out. And they're also along people's yards, so that means disruption to residents. So in short, the system is not very friendly to new fiber providers or to residents who suffer the headaches of it. So we strongly support something that we've called One Touch Make Ready. And those policies are aimed to make the pole attachment process more efficient, safer, and less disruptive for local communities. You may have seen reports about this in Louisville, Kentucky, where the city council and the mayor supported and passed an ordinance on One Touch Make Ready. And we're really grateful for that city's support of this initiative. One Touch Make Ready policies are an effective way to reduce disruption, inconvenience, and delay by allowing any communications provider that wants to attach to the pole the ability to attach so long as they're using engineering designs that are approved by the pole owner and a contractor that's also approved by the pole owner. So just like sensible dig once policies are common throughout the country, we think One Touch Make Ready is a sensible policy that should be supported. As another example, we've learned that to attract investment and potential fiber networks, it's important that the local policy framework is up to date. In many cases, things like right-of-way ordinances, franchise laws, another favorite topic, and permitting processes may not have been updated in quite some time. So we encourage cities to take a close look and make sure that those laws reflect today's reality and are friendly to potential investors. So just like it's not easy to fit a square peg in a round hole, a new provider often can't navigate through outdated regulatory regimes. Finally, we've learned that one size definitely does not fit all when it comes to fiber deployments. To date, we've been building most of our networks from scratch, so laying thousands of miles of new fiber. However, every city's different, and that model won't work in all markets. And so the specific needs of a city have to be considered when thinking about what type of fiber deployment works for that community. We're always looking for creative ways to bring fiber to more people. A couple examples. In San Francisco, we recently announced that we are partnering with existing fiber providers to offer service to residents without doing the heavy lifting of construction, since it wasn't a good fit for that market. And so we're excited to bring fiber service to select buildings and public housing facilities in the months to come. And something I'm really excited about, we've started working with cities that have or are installing their own fiber networks. So we recently announced that we're partnering with the city of Huntsville, Alabama, and its municipal-owned utility, electric utility, to bring fiber service to residents and small businesses in that city. So Huntsville Utility had for a couple years been exploring a fiber network build-out to support its smart grid and to connect city facilities. They also decided that as part of that plan to build out a fiber network, that they would make available fiber to private companies on a non-exclusive basis And then those companies could use the fiber to serve residents with high-speed broadband and TV. Huntsville and its leaders had a vision for a connected community energized by gigabit speeds. And we're excited to help make that vision a reality and have signed up to be an anchor tenant on that yet-to-be-built municipal network. This is a city-led, long-term investment that will allow both Google Fiber and future providers to deliver ultra-fast internet to Huntsville residents. Huntsville isn't the only city looking at that model, and we think it's an exciting and interesting approach and another great opportunity to bring more internet to more people more quickly. So to close, I want to acknowledge and appreciate the elected officials, staffers, private partners, and many others, all these different partners in the room, who are working together to tackle these big and complicated, but really important fiber deployments. Thanks for all the work you're doing, and thanks for having me here today.